Welcome back to another edition of Cape Ann Today, folks. Today we are joined by Nathan Ives. He is the Director of Project Elm, an effort to plant elm trees in Gloucester and Rockport. How are you, Nathan?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Okay, so tell us a bit about Project Elm, how this all came about, and what its mission is.
So last year, actually in late 2020, early 2021, it just kind of sat with me that we needed to do something about the elm tree because I remember Rockport as a kid growing up there, how they were towering all over most streets and were beautiful and had been decimated by Dutch elm disease in the 70s. And so I was witness to the incredible cutting that went on by out of necessity to remove them, and the way the streets looked so different after they were gone. And now with climate change, and we all have to do our part to make a difference here, there's a big effort to plant trees. And why not recreate the elm effect in Rockport and Gloucester and other parts of Cape Ann if we can do so with these new disease-resistant trees that are available on the market today, new cultivars that stand up to the disease. So we started it last year. We put the word out and got a grant. I got a grant from Awesome Rockport, and then another grant followed through from Awesome Gloucester. And we were initially just trying to do maybe 20, 25 trees, and it turned into 100 trees. And we had great volunteers that helped us do it, so it was really fun.
That's great.
So, Rick, I would love to hear about these cultivars. Like, how successful are they? Where do you get them? What's been going on with these?
Yeah. So there's been a lot of study done to try and, because elms were absolutely cherished across the country. And it wasn't just in Massachusetts where they died. They died all over the country. Millions of trees were taken down in the 1970s, from the 30s to the 70s after Dutch elm disease became present in the country. And it's still here now. So they needed to come up with a cultivar. So they've done that. There's a variety of them. I don't know the good number. It must be 25 to 100 different cultivars that are resistant to the disease, and some more than others. And they somehow scientists have genetically created a strain that can withstand the onslaught of the disease. And these trees will thrive. They may not be quite as tall as the original American elm, which was upwards from 80 to 100 feet overall and a 45-foot spread at the top. But they come close. They may be 60 or 70 feet on average and still have a good 40-foot spread. So it's really cool what they've done.
Yeah, so Nathan, you can plant these in any terrain locally?
Yeah, trees, elm is known as an amazing street tree because they can withstand road salt and minimal soil conditions. They don't need stuff. In fact, you don't want to fertilize them because that keeps their roots really tightly around the tree, which makes a weaker tree. You want them to grow and seek out nutrients from afar so that they have a nice strong root system that keeps that tree standing, because it's going to be wicked tall overall.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So were those trees that the original American elms that we have seen photographs of on all these beautiful American main streets, were they planted and specifically to be street trees?
They were largely, and perhaps I think the best way to see them in a record of history is to look at paintings. And Rockport is an artist colony, and Gloucester as well. So many of our artists in the landscapes over the last decades have depicted and recorded for time, and in their perspective, the impact of elms in our community. And so if you just traipse into a gallery anytime, almost any gallery, you'll see if there's a piece that records what used to be or was reality at that time. It's amazing, their portrayal of the impact elms had on our community.
Yeah, that's exactly what I imagine is paintings and seeing these shady, beautiful streets.
Yep. Up and down, like if you turn from Broadway onto Mount Pleasant Street in Rockport, it was like a cathedral. They were just surrounded on either side going up the way. So our initiative was to work with private homeowners so that we could ask the public to say, would you be willing to put these trees on your property, but not only just on your property somewhere, but on a street facing part of your property? Help us to recreate that effect. And, knowing that the landscape has changed significantly in modern times, where pavement never existed before and sidewalks weren't paved either. And so these trees, if you go up my street, Norwood Avenue, you'll see depressions in the pavement where elms once were.
Hmm.
And what back in the day, there was no pavement on the sidewalk or on the street. The elm would just gather nutrients from wherever it needed it, and there wasn't plumbing in the street, or very little of it, anyways, to impede its growth or anything like that. Now the landscape has changed significantly, so that's a bit more of a strategic problem to kind of solve, where they could go in the streets or on the sidewalks. Hence the need to go with homeowners to see, could you help us on your street facing properties?
Yeah, because I was going to ask, are you looking for specific locations for planting, or?
We have, like, for instance, Cape Ann Law's got a great spot on Broadway. And so I approached Bob Visnick and said, gosh, have I got a thing for you? And Bob was terrific about it and said, listen, let's do it. And if you drive down Broadway, right on their front lawn at the corner of Broadway Ave and Broadway is an elm there that's gonna, it'll outlast Bob and me and probably the rest of us by a significant margin. It may not even be enormous in my lifetime, but we're paying it forward and just trying to help out Mother Earth here and give us some beauty along the ride.
Yeah. How long does it take for an elm to fully grow?
Well, they're a fast-paced grower, but it does take 20 years to get any significant height out of it. And again, these trees that were in the ground, Ebenezer Poole, I'm told, planted one in Dock Square in 1859, and it was there for 120 years or more.
Oh, wow.
And there were two at the top of Pigeon Hill Street that were named, oh gosh, I can't think of the names. Two women's names, and they were seen as landmarks long before there was a water tower. They were what seafarers used to navigate. Oh, this is Pigeon Cove because I can see those two elms, and they knew their names.
Interesting.
That's amazing. So how can people learn about these trees, and can they purchase one? I think I know what the answer is.
Well, we've actually just sold out for this year. We're hopeful to get a few more. So last year we were stretching our goal to do 100. We went from 20 in the infancy idea to 100, and by God, we got through them all and planted them all over Cape Ann, in Rockport and Gloucester. And then this year we've included places in Manchester and in Essex as well to really round out the fullness of Cape Ann, but primarily in Rockport and Gloucester. And we have committed 75 that will be planted. I have a great team of colleagues, volunteers, in Rockport, men and women that are very helpful in getting these in the ground, because it's not that we give them to a person to plant them on their own. They tell us where they want it, and we dig it in the ground for them. So they're done right, and we'll have a nice, long, good start and a long life.
And do they need much care? You said they don't need to be fertilized.
They don't. They actually are better not fertilized, but they do need water. And nowadays, with these summers being hotter than normal, they do need care in the first year or two to make sure they've got a lot of water on them when there's a dry season. If there's not an inch of rain in a week, they need a drink of water in the hot months. And easy to do, but it does take that forethought to do it. So we're hopeful. So we do have a website, capeannelms.com, that we have been taking our orders on. Right now, we're at a point where we're taking wait list orders, and because we're not sure we'll be able to add any more to go 75 to 100. The thing is, these come from Oregon, and as I understand it from nursery folks, these are produced in one part of the country for the whole country, and then nurseries all around the country that want to do elms place their orders at one time in late winter, and get them in early April, and that's it for the supply for the nation. And so if you don't place your order right when you get them, you're not going to usually get any more, and you certainly won't get them at wholesale prices. So we try to hit the number right, and so far we've done so in the sense that we've gotten them all to be committed to where they're going to go somewhere well, and so we're pleased with it.
Would they be okay growing in a salt marsh area?
No, they do need dry roots by and large. But they can tolerate moist areas. They can tolerate drier soil. So they're a real adaptable tree. But most trees except a willow or something wouldn't like being planted like that. And that's why they're such a great street tree. So they're a great front yard, side yard, backyard kind of tree that because they offer such great shade with a good 45 foot spread. And a great height of 60 plus feet. They'll help you out. And you want to be thoughtful about it. If you're going to anticipate putting solar panels on your house, you certainly don't want to plant them that would impede that over time, because they will have an impact. But on a house that's perpendicular to the street with its roof line, that'd be perfect. And it really helps out the neighborhood and helps out our earth too.
Yeah. Nathan, we were talking for a few minutes before we went on air, and you lived away from the area for a while. How did you maintain your accent? Because you have like
Right?
a kick-ass local accent.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, disciplining my children to make sure they said water and bubbler and things like
And
that.
Gloucester.
They knew that, if a fire truck came by, what they were supposed to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. The water in Rockport's wicked good, so I think it helped out. Yeah.
Well, we thank you for your time. If people want to learn more about Project Elm, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, they can check out capeannelms.com. They can keep in touch with us by email. We're on Facebook and such, and we'd love to hear from them. We'll be, as I said, be taking a wait list now if we're not able to get any additional trees for this year, and certainly for next year. And we're coming up with some other initiatives related to elms in our community as well. So stand by for more news on that as we make that more ground.
Yeah, and a very cool mini documentary you have on that website as well.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much.
Beautifully shot.
Kudos to the company that did that. They donated everything pro bono for us. Huge. They did a great job.
Yeah, give it a look, folks. Okay, Nathan Ives, Project Elm, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you
You're
soon
welcome.
and see what the
Thank you.
progress is like.
All right,
Thanks,
sounds great. Nice to meet you guys.
Cheers.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.